You meet Jess's daughter, Carolyn, out of linear order, and I'm curious if working with the actress Zoe Graham, did that influence your performance at other parts in the film?
She influenced me so heavily. I mean, she just would have no idea the credit that I would pay her for what I was able to excavate for my performance, just based on my real affection for her and my fondness for her. And I mean, she's a great actor, obviously, but just the person that she is and the wonder that she has about the world. And I mean, I was just incredibly taken with her.
Tell me a little about the time periods in this, because that seems like a real acting challenge to develop a character with this expansive history between two performances.
Yeah, that was, I think, what really attracted me to the whole event, was that this idea of playing somebody in 2001 and then somebody in the present day, and that and what changes. And this is a guy, Ray Caston, who I play as a guy who's been completely caught up in this obsession and just trying to figure out what that would do to somebody over that period of time of like 13, 14 years, how you change. And so trying to play that as we were doing it, a sort of lighter spirit, initially, even with these terrible events, he's trying to just sort of get to the bottom of it. But then, significantly later, it's a kind of crushed spirit. It's sort of, there's something much more dense about him and intense.
The story that you're telling is these three characters, principally, who are walking through this minefield, right? Metaphorically. And it's the same minefield they walked through 13 years before. And they know it, but there's an inevitability about it. They can't stop themselves. They're obsessed. And so to do that, you have to tell these parallel stories. What's happening in 2015, what was happening in 2002, and how those stories kind of mirror one another.
It's sort of in the title, but in this film, everyone has their secrets. And I'm curious, as an actress, what can you do to have secrets that aren't that come through the performance despite the fact that you may be saying something else?
Well, in this movie, it was really the hat trick to try to be believable when you are telling the truth and believable when maybe you're telling an untruth, and making sure that the audience knows what you want them to know is true or not true. I mean, it was pretty complicated.
Well, it's actually fun to do it with people like the cast that is on this film, because I think everybody was so detailed and specific. It's so easy to play those kind of scenes and the friendship and the nuances with people like Julia and Nicole, and they're just so talented and so skilled at what they're doing. So it's actually fun to play all the things that you don't have to say. You don't feel like you have to express everything. These characters have a very rich history and a very rich sort of a very specific knowledge of each other, which allows you to play moments without sort of hitting it on the nose.
It's a lot easier with movie stars. That I can tell you for sure. You always want to write subtext. You want actors to be behaving in a way that's contrary to what they're saying, right? That's always the most interesting reading of something, is when it doesn't mean exactly what you're saying. In this case, there were times where they weren't saying anything. It was just looks back and forth. And if you go back and look at the movie a second time, which I hope you will, you can see that there are lots of looks flying back and forth between the principals in this movie, because they each have some big secret that they're hanging on to, that they are really trying not to reveal. And you can see it. I hate to sound so cliche, but it's there. It's in their eyes. And that's why the movie is called what it's called.